The perpetual victim operates from a psychological framework of learned helplessness. She has adopted an identity rooted in suffering, and her primary mode of interacting with the world is through a narrative of misfortune. Life is not something she actively participates in. It is something that happens to her. She is perpetually wronged, misunderstood, and beset by forces beyond her control. This toxicity is subtle because it initially masquerades as vulnerability. You are drawn in by a desire to protect, to save, and to be her hero. This dynamic, however, quickly becomes a trap. Recognition. The victim's primary language is the complaint. She will have an endless list of grievances against ex-partners, family members, bosses, and friends. In her narrative, she is never the one at fault. Responsibility is a foreign concept. Listen for phrases like, "I don't know why this always happens to me. Everyone always leaves me," or "No one understands what I'm going through." Her problems are always presented as insurmountable crises that only you can solve. However, when you offer practical solutions, she will meet them with resistance, finding a reason why each suggestion won't work. The goal is not to solve the problem. The goal is to secure your attention and emotional energy. She does not want a solution. She wants a subsidy for her emotional state. She will use guilt as a primary tool of control. If you have your own needs, or if you pull away to focus on your work or friends, you will be accused of abandoning her in her time of need. You will be made to feel selfish for having boundaries. She will often sigh, become withdrawn, or express passive-aggressive disappointment to signal that you have failed in your duty as her caretaker. Psychological underpinnings. This behavior often stems from a genuine history of trauma or neglect, but it has mutated from a temporary state into a permanent personality structure. It is a coping mechanism that has become a strategy. In many cases, it is linked to a histrionic or borderline personality structure where the individual has a deep-seated fear of abandonment and a fragile sense of self. By being the victim, she accomplishes two things. She avoids all personal responsibility. If nothing is her fault, she never has to face her own flaws or make the difficult effort to change. She manipulates others into providing the constant care and attention she craves. It is a form of emotional vampirism. The impact on you. You will be transformed from a partner into a permanent caretaker. Your relationship will not be one of equals. It will be a dynamic of patient and nurse. Your own emotional resources will be drained dry. You will find yourself constantly managing her crises, walking on eggshells to avoid triggering her next emotional downturn, and feeling overwhelmingly guilty. Your own life, goals, and mental health will be placed on the back burner indefinitely. You will become exhausted, resentful, and isolated. The inevitable outcome. The relationship will collapse under the weight of this imbalance. You will either leave from sheer exhaustion, at which point you will be cast as the ultimate villain in her story, another person who abandoned and wronged her. Or you will stay and be consumed, becoming a hollowed-out version of yourself, your life revolving entirely around managing her manufactured misery. Number 2. The emotional puppeteer. The emotional puppeteer is a master of covert manipulation. She rarely engages in open conflict. She does not yell or make overt threats. Instead, she controls her environment and her partner through a sophisticated arsenal of psychological tools designed to inspire guilt, fear, and self-doubt. Her toxicity is insidious, like a poison that works so slowly you don't realize you're ill until you are incapacitated. Recognition. Her most used weapon is the silent treatment. When you do something to displease her, which can be as simple as having a different opinion or wanting to spend time with friends, she will not discuss it. She will withdraw all affection, communication, and warmth. She will become a cold, emotional void. This is designed to create intense anxiety in you. You will scramble to figure out what you did wrong and will inevitably apologize for a perceived crime, thereby giving her control. She is a master of guilt tripping. She will frame her needs as your obligations. "I guess I'll just go to the event alone then," she'll say with a sigh, implying your absence is an act of cruelty. She will use "if you loved me" statements to leverage your affection against you. "If you really loved me, you wouldn't want to go out with your friends tonight." Emotional blackmail is another hallmark. This can be subtle, such as bursting into tears to end an argument she is losing, or it can be more overt, such as threatening to harm herself if you talk about leaving. She makes you responsible for her emotional stability, a burden that is impossible to bear. She also uses strategic incompetence or weaponized helplessness. She will forget how to do things she doesn't want to do, forcing you to take on the responsibility. This maintains her control over the division of labor and reinforces your role as the capable one, while she maintains the position of the one who must be cared for. Psychological underpinnings. This behavior is rooted in a profound need for control, often stemming from a deep-seated insecurity and a fear of direct confrontation. The puppeteer does not believe she can get her needs met through honest communication. She may have grown up in an environment where direct assertiveness was punished, learning instead to use covert tactics. This is often associated with passive-aggressive personality traits and, in more extreme cases, covert narcissistic personality disorder. She views relationships as zero-sum games. For her to win, you must lose. The impact on you. Living with an emotional puppeteer is a form of psychological torment. Just to keep the peace. You will become isolated, as she will use these tactics to sever your ties with friends and family who might offer you perspective. Your identity will be eroded as you contort yourself to please her and avoid her disapproval. The inevitable outcome. This is not a partnership, it is a hostage situation. The puppeteer will never be satisfied because her control is a bottomless need. You will eventually become a shell of your former self, living only to serve her emotional agenda. The only way to win is not to play. You must recognize the game and refuse to be a puppet on her strings. Number 3. The controller. The controller operates from a place of intense, consuming jealousy and possessiveness. Her toxicity is not about love, it is about ownership. She views you as a possession, an object that reflects on her, and she must therefore manage every aspect of your life to soothe her own profound insecurities. This behavior is often romanticized in its early stages as caring deeply, but it quickly reveals itself as a prison. Recognition. It begins with small intrusions. She'll ask to see your phone, framing it as a playful, "What are you hiding, Mel?" game. This will escalate into demanding your passwords for social media and email. She will justify this under the guise of total transparency in the relationship. She will begin to isolate you. This is a classic tactic of abusers. She will criticize your friends, claiming they are a bad influence or don't respect the relationship. She will create drama around your family gatherings, making it emotionally exhausting for you to see them. The goal is to make her the sole source of your social and emotional validation, making you easier to control. She will monitor your time and whereabouts. You will be expected to check in constantly. A text message that goes unanswered for 10 minutes will result in a barrage of accusations. Where are you? Who are you with? Why aren't you answering me? She may use technology to track your location. She will dictate your appearance, your hobbies, and your career choices. She will tell you what to wear, criticize hobbies that don't involve her, and may even sabotage your job if she feels it gives you too much independence or puts you in contact with people she sees as a threat, especially other women. Psychological underpinnings. This behavior is driven by a crippling fear of abandonment and an almost non-existent sense of self-worth. Her identity is entirely wrapped up in the relationship. If you are independent, it threatens her very being. This is not love. Love promotes growth and freedom. This is fear. It is often linked to an anxious, preoccupied attachment style, or, in more severe cases, personality disorders where the fear of being left is paramount. She believes that by controlling every variable, she can prevent you from leaving her. The impact on you. Your world will shrink until it is only her. You will lose your friends, your family connections, your hobbies, and your autonomy. You will live in a state of constant surveillance, feeling the need to justify your every move. Your confidence will be shattered as you will be implicitly told over and over that you cannot be trusted to make your own decisions. You will feel suffocated, trapped, and deeply resentful. The stress of this constant monitoring will have severe effects on your physical and mental health. The inevitable outcome. You will be left with two choices: complete submission or escape. If you submit, you cease to be an individual. You become an accessory to her anxiety. If you try to leave, you must be prepared for an escalation. The controller does not let go easily. She will resort to threats, stalking, smear campaigns, or extreme emotional blackmail to regain her perceived property. Number 4. The drama magnet. The drama magnet, psychologically known as someone with histrionic tendencies, thrives on chaos. She is addicted to attention and emotional intensity. A stable, peaceful environment is boring and threatening to her, as it does not provide the high level of stimulation she craves. If drama does not exist, she will create it. She is the star of her own perpetual movie, and you are merely a supporting cast member. Recognition. Her life is a series of escalating crises. Every minor inconvenience is a catastrophe. Every disagreement is a war. She is often in conflict with friends, family, or coworkers. She will pull you into these conflicts, demanding you take her side and fight her battles. She is the queen bee, or mean girl archetype. She often engages in gossip, social exclusion, and triangulation. She will talk about her best friend behind her back, and you must assume she does the same to you. She creates us versus them dynamics and thrives on social intrigue. She must be the center of attention. In social settings, she will dominate conversations. Often with exaggerated, she gets the attention she was seeking. This emotional volatility is exhausting and confusing, keeping you perpetually off balance. She often uses her sexuality and appearance as a primary tool for validation. She may dress provocatively not for herself, but for the reaction it gets. She may engage in constant, inappropriate flirtation with other men, precisely to make you jealous and force you to fight for her, thus creating the drama she needs. Psychological underpinnings. This behavior is rooted in a deep sense of internal emptiness and a desperate need for external validation. Her self-worth is entirely dependent on how others see her. She has not developed a stable internal sense of self, so she must constantly seek proof of her existence and value from the outside world. Peace and quiet feel like annihilation. Attention, even negative attention, is proof that she matters. This is the core of the histrionic personality disorder. The impact on you. Your life will become a roller coaster you cannot get off of. You will be emotionally exhausted from lurching from one crisis to the next. You will never have peace. Your relationships with your own friends and family will be strained, as you are constantly forced to manage or defend her behavior. You will feel more like a firefighter or an audience member than a partner. You will also feel a constant, simmering jealousy and insecurity, which is exactly what she wants, as it proves to her that you are invested. The inevitable outcome. Burnout is inevitable. A life built on a foundation of chaos cannot stand. The relationship will be a series of breakups and dramatic reconciliations until you are too exhausted to continue. When you finally leave, she will not be sad. She will be furious that her audience is walking out. She will immediately find a new person to star in her next production. Number 5. The scorekeeper. The scorekeeper operates within a purely transactional framework. The relationship is not a partnership built on mutual support and unconditional love. It is a ledger book of debts and credits. Every action, every favor, and every mistake is meticulously recorded, awaiting the day it can be used as leverage. This approach poisons the well of genuine intimacy and generosity. Recognition. Her memory is infallible, but only for your mistakes or her good deeds. She will bring up something you did wrong months or even years ago in the middle of a completely unrelated argument. Every meal cooked, every favor granted, every compromise made is an investment she expects a return on. This is often used to induce guilt. After all I've done for you, you can't do this one thing for me? There is no sense of a team. It is not us versus the problem. It is me versus you. She views any personal gain for you, a promotion, a night with friends, as a loss for her, unless she can see a direct, tangible benefit. Generosity is always conditional. If she does something nice, it is with the unspoken expectation of receiving something of equal or greater value in return. If this expectation is not met, she will become resentful and withdrawn, adding your ingratitude to her ledger. Psychological underpinnings. This behavior often stems from a deep-seated scarcity mindset. The scorekeeper may have grown up in an environment where love and resources were conditional. She learned that relationships are not about safety and support, but about advantage and leverage. She is fundamentally insecure, believing that if she doesn't keep a strict account, she will be taken advantage of and left with nothing. This can also be a strong narcissistic trait, where all interactions are filtered through the lens of what's in it for me. The impact on you. You will feel like you are perpetually in debt. You can never do enough to clear the slate. The relationship will feel like a business negotiation, not a loving partnership. You will become afraid to be vulnerable or to make mistakes, knowing they will be weaponized against you. You will stop accepting her gifts or favors because you know they come with strings attached. The spontaneity and joy of the relationship will be crushed under the weight of her meticulous accounting. You will feel unloved for who you are and valued only for what you provide. The inevitable outcome. You can never win this game. The ledger is rigged. The scorekeeper will always ensure you are in her debt, as this is her only source of power and security. The relationship will disintegrate into a bitter cycle of resentment and accusations. True partnership is impossible with someone who is constantly counting your cost. Number 6, the saboteur. The saboteur is one of the most destructive types because her toxicity is aimed directly at your potential. She will, therefore, subtly and methodically undermine your ambitions, your confidence, and your connections, all under the guise of caring for you. Recognition. Her sabotage is rarely overt. It is a slow, insidious process. When you are excited about a new project or a career opportunity, she will respond with concerned skepticism. Are you sure you can handle that? It seems really stressful. Is the money really worth the risk? We're so comfortable right now. She plants seeds of doubt, framing her fear as practical concern. She will become a dream killer. She will subtly belittle your ambitions, suggesting they are unrealistic or that you are not cut out for them. This is a form of protective condescension designed to keep you small. She will actively create distractions or crises whenever you are on the verge of a breakthrough. The night before a major exam or a critical presentation, she will pick a massive fight. When you need to work on your business, she will suddenly become sick or have an emotional breakdown that requires your immediate, undivided attention. She engineers failure and then offers you comfort. She will help you in ways that actually hurt you. She might forget to pass on an important message or accidentally delete an important file. It will always be presented as an innocent mistake, but the pattern is undeniable. She will isolate you from mentors or positive influences, casting suspicion on anyone who encourages your growth. That friend of yours is putting all these crazy ideas in your head. He doesn't understand our life. Psychological underpinnings. This is the behavior of someone with a deeply fragile ego, often rooted in a crab-in-the-bucket mentality. She cannot stand to see you rise above her. Your success highlights her own insecurities and feelings of inadequacy. She may have a fixed mindset, believing that success is a finite resource. If you become more successful, more confident, or more independent, she fears you will no longer need her. Her entire sense of worth is tied to being the supportive or needed one. By keeping you dependent and slightly broken, she secures her role in your life. The impact on you. Your potential will be suffocated. You will find yourself in a state of arrested development, constantly second-guessing your abilities and pulling back from opportunities. You will feel a deep, unexplainable sense of stagnation and frustration. You will blame yourself, thinking you just don't have what it takes, failing to see the invisible anchor she has tied to your leg. You will feel guilty for wanting more out of life, as she has framed your ambition as a betrayal of her. The inevitable outcome. You will be trapped in a life that is far beneath your capabilities. You will live in a comfortable cage she has built for you. The only way to grow is to recognize that the person who is supposed to be your biggest cheerleader is, in fact, your biggest saboteur. You must choose between your potential and your partner. You cannot have both. Number 7. The bottomless pit. The bottomless pit is defined by an emotional void that cannot be filled. She is a black hole of neediness. Her demand for validation, reassurance, and attention is constant and insatiable. She has no internal source of self-worth and relies on you to be her entire emotional support system, a role that will inevitably deplete and destroy you. Recognition. Her need for reassurance is relentless. You will have to tell her you love her, that she is beautiful, and that you will not leave her multiple times a day. But the validation never sticks. A few hours later, she will be back, needing another hit of reassurance. She has no life, hobbies, or identity outside of the relationship. Your life becomes her life. She will want to be with you 24/7. When you are apart, she will be texting and calling you incessantly. She has no tolerance for you having an independent existence, but it is actually a complete abdication of her own autonomy. She will react with intense anxiety or depression if you fail to meet her emotional needs exactly as she dictates. If your text message is not enthusiastic enough, or if you seem distracted, she will interpret it as a sign that you are pulling away, which will trigger a crisis of insecurity. She will often suffer from extreme, unfounded jealousy. Anyone else in your life, friends, family, even your children, is seen as a competitor for the emotional resources that she believes belong exclusively to her. Psychological underpinnings. This is the hallmark of a severe, anxious, preoccupied attachment style, often bordering on dependent personality disorder or borderline personality disorder. This emptiness often stems from profound childhood neglect or abandonment. She has learned that she is not okay unless she is actively receiving validation from an external source. She is terrified of being alone and has no internal mechanism for self-soothing. Her love is not true affection. It is a desperate, primal need for survival. The impact on you. You will be emotionally suffocated. You will have no time, energy, or mental space for yourself. Your entire existence will be dedicated to managing her emotions and filling her void. It is the psychological equivalent of trying to pour water into a bucket with no bottom. You will feel exhausted, resentful, and completely trapped. You will feel guilty for wanting to escape, as she has made you believe that you are her only lifeline. This is the definition of compassion fatigue. The inevitable outcome. The relationship is doomed. No single human being can fill the void inside another. You will eventually be drained to the point of collapse. When you can no longer provide the constant, high-level validation she requires, she will accuse you of not loving her and will either collapse into a deeper state of despair or, more likely, will have already begun grooming your replacement, someone new who can provide the level of intense validation she needs. Number 8. The gaslighter. The gaslighter is engaged in a malevolent form of psychological warfare. Her goal is to systematically dismantle your perception of reality, making you doubt your own memory, your judgment, and your sanity. By destroying your confidence in your own mind, she makes you completely dependent on her version of events, thus gaining absolute control. This is one of the most insidious and damaging forms of psychological abuse. Recognition. Her primary tactic is denial. She will blatantly lie about things she said or did. Even if you have proof, she will deny it with such conviction that you will begin to question your own senses. I never said that. She will attack the very foundation of your identity. Psychological underpinnings. Gaslighting is a hallmark of malignant narcissism and psychopathy. It is a cold, calculated strategy for control. It is not done out of insecurity, but out of a desire for dominance. The gaslighter has no empathy and views you as an object to be manipulated. She derives a sense of power from the ability to warp your reality and bend it to her will. She needs to be the one who is always right, always infallible, and she will destroy your mind to maintain that position. The impact on you. This is psychological annihilation. You will develop what is often called gaslighting syndrome. You will be in a constant state of confusion, anxiety, and self-doubt. You will no longer be able to make simple decisions. You will apologize constantly. You will feel like you are going crazy. You will become a hollow, anxious shell, completely tethered to your abuser for your sense of reality. The long-term effects include depression, anxiety disorders, and PTSD. The inevitable outcome. This is not a relationship. It is a psychological prison. There is no fixing this. You cannot use logic or evidence to defeat a gaslighter, as they do not operate in the same reality. The only solution is to get out. You must sever contact and immediately seek validation from trusted friends, family, or a therapist to begin the long, difficult process of rebuilding your own mind and reclaiming your reality. Number 9. The chameleon. The chameleon, or the partner with an unformed identity, is toxic because she is not real. In the beginning, she will appear to be your perfect match, the dream woman. This is because she has no stable personality of her own. Instead, she is a mirror. She studies you, identifies what you want, and then transforms herself into that person. This is a trap. You are not falling in love with her. You are falling in love with a reflection of yourself. Recognition. The relationship will feel too good to be true at an alarming speed. She will share all of your hobbies, all of your opinions, and all of your life goals. This is called mirroring. If you love hiking, she will suddenly be an avid outdoors woman. If you are a political conservative, she will adopt the same views. It will feel like you found your soulmate, but the synchronicity is manufactured. She has a vague or contradictory past. Her life story will seem thin, and her friends may be few or non-existent. She has no deep roots or convictions. Her personality, interests, and even her style of dress may have changed dramatically from one relationship to the next. Once she feels she has secured you, the mirror will begin to crack. The person you fell in love with will start to disappear. She may become suddenly sullen, empty, or demand that you now cater to her needs, which were previously hidden. You will realize you don't actually know her. After months or even years, you will have a terrifying realization that you have no idea who she truly is, what she truly believes, or what she actually wants. The entire relationship is built on a foundation of lies. When you challenge her inconsistencies, she will often react with rage, narcissistic rage, or by playing the victim, accusing you of not loving the real me when she never showed you the real me to begin with. Psychological underpinnings. This is a core feature of borderline personality disorder and covert narcissism. The individual has a fractured or non-existent sense of self. Or if she does, it is a non-apology. I'm sorry you feel that way. Or, I'm sorry, but you're the one who. She is psychologically incapable of accepting blame. To admit fault would be to challenge her fragile ego, which is protected at all costs. She is a blame shifter. If she is late for work, it's because you distracted her. If she fails at a project, it's because you didn't support her enough. If she is in a bad mood, it's your fault. She is the professional victim of circumstance, and you are the primary cause. Psychological underpinnings. This is classic narcissistic defense. The critic's ego is so fragile that it cannot withstand the slightest imperfection. Admitting a flaw would cause a narcissistic injury, which is psychologically intolerable. Therefore, her mind develops a powerful defense mechanism: projection. It unconsciously takes all of her negative qualities and projects them onto the closest target, you. By attacking you, she is symbolically attacking the parts of herself she cannot stand. No amount of perfection on your part will ever stop the criticism, because the criticism is not about you. It is about her. You will either leave, broken and needing to rebuild your entire sense of self, or you will stay and be ground down into nothing. The only way to stop being her scapegoat is to remove yourself from the equation.